This is Larry Hankin. Guess where I am? Well, I'm at home, but I'm chatting with Staxx. Check it out. He's cool.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Larry Hankin.
I mean, the director and the casting director are in there, in that room, but you can't go in there. I said, well, is there any sides? Is there anything? So she gives me a script, 93 pages that I'm going to read. I don't even know which part, but I'm supposed to read this entire thing, pick out a part that I want. Already I want to go home. I mean, that was my adjustment, man. I mean, these jobs you get, this is what I was thinking. I remember this, man. These auditions are getting stupider and stupider. I mean, I just drove down here. I was doing something interesting at home, like washing the dishes. I could be washing dishes right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where my head was at. So, and then as I'm talking, so she gives me the script, and I said, I can't read this. I'm going to go and audition somewhere. She said, well, that's all I have. And she just because she saw my attitude was getting, so she just shut me out. So I just sat down and I put the script in my lap, and then the door opens where she had pointed with the director and the casting director. So the door opened, and this very nice elderly woman, gray-haired woman, elderly. So gray-haired woman peeks out, from behind. She says, "Are you Larry Hankin?" "Yeah." "Are you ready?"
You didn't even read it. You didn't even
Come on, man. How stupid is this going to get? I just arrived. They handed me the script. So I said, yeah. I mean, just like that. Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to go home. It is like stupid, man. So I went in, and I said, and there's just two people in this empty room. It's an empty room. No chairs, no nothing. And there's three chairs. Well, there's three chairs. The director, Don Siegel, I didn't even know who he was. My bad. He's an incredibly great director, big time from the 50s. Everybody in Hollywood knows who this director is, except me. So I just sit down, and I didn't, and he's an elderly guy. He also had gray hair. I didn't at the time. See, that's the difference. But it also added to the, this attitude. So there's three chairs, him, the casting director, this woman, and then for me, the auditioner. And we're facing one another in an empty room. And I sit down and I go, he says, "Oh, okay, what part are you here for?" And I just looked at him and I go, nobody's given me the part. They told me that they would tell me what the part is when I got here. So I'm thinking, man, get your shit together, you people. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not saying it, but you could tell by my body language. And he just looked at me, this great director who I don't know from Adam, man. And he looked at me and he decided, I think right there, I want the guy in my movie. I'm telling you, because that was my whole attitude, the entire audition. But he never changed. He just said, well, you got the script there. I mean, he just became very conversational and normal, like a human being. Like, he's like a grocer and I'm auditioning for a clerk. Just, okay, So he said, is that the script you have there in your lap? Yeah. Okay. And he says to the lady, he says, so what parts do we have left? Left? I mean, this is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
So what part do you have left? Let's see. She says, well, the cop, one of the cops in the prison, and Charley Butts. He says, that's it? She says, yeah. He says, which do you want to do? He says to me. And I go, I don't know. I didn't read the script. I just got the script outside here. I don't know who those people are. I don't know what's going on. I told him that. So I don't know what's going on. See, I'm totally human now, and he's totally like a really great actor. He's just matching me. That's all. He's just feeding off my whatever, my output. And he's going, well, I'll tell you what. Would you like? Which one do you want to do? So I said, I don't know. He said, okay, calm down. It's one of the greatest auditions I've ever done. But it was true. It was all natural. I just was confused. He said, he turned to me, he said, okay, well, do you think you can, how about the cop? Well, what do you call it? The prison guard. That's what it was. He said, what, you want to, how about the prison guard? So so I said, okay. And she says, no, that's already been filled this morning. We just filled that one. I'm sorry. That's been filled. And I don't, he has to beat up, that's the cop that beats up Clint Eastwood. There's a scene in the movie where he's in solitary and a cop comes in and beats him up because he can't be, unprotected. So this is what they're talking about. I later found out. So he says, that's the cop that beats up Clint. So he turns to me and he says, do you think you can beat up Clint Eastwood? And I go, I just like knocked off my aim. I don't know what. I go, no, I don't think so. And he goes, yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, all right, forget that. What about Charley Butts? Yeah, this is beautiful. So he goes, what about Charley Butts? He said, that's still open. I said, okay, what about Charley Butts? I said, I don't know who Charley Butts is. I'm really losing my patience. He said, all right, calm down. Now, any other, if I did that, they would say, get out of here. What but he's sticking with me. Yeah. And this is blowing my mind because I'm realizing this guy is sticking with me.
I think the attitude is probably what got you the role.
Yeah. No, it was totally human. It was totally real. In other words, I wasn't acting, pretending, or being nervous or anything. I was just being Larry. So he goes, all right, I'll tell you what. Let's read a scene for Charley Butts. How about that? I said, okay. So he says, all right, turn to page 98. Or not 98. I think it was 98, actually. Maybe it was 103 pages. I don't know. But he says, turn to page 73. So I said, okay. So I turned to page 72. It's a Charley Butts scene. Now, he's got his own script. He turns to, now, before he starts, he goes, okay, we're just going to read that page, just one page. I'll read with you. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. And now you want to go outside and rehearse a little, look it over. No, let's just do this. Because I wanted to get out of there. I want to go home. Yeah. So I said, no, let's just do this. So he said, okay, fine. Okay. And his first line. So he goes, blah, blah, blah. And I go, blah, blah. So now I'm just reading it. I mean, there's no acting involved. I don't know who Charley Butts is or what the relationship is. I don't know anything. It's one page. So I just read it, just like reading it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Says, okay, you got the job. And I just sat there, like stunned, literally, because I know for a fact I've done enough audition. They never tell you in the audition. Never. Because it affects the negotiations for money.
Other people too, they don't want.
In other words, they say, well, you got the job. Now they've made it hard for their negotiating guy because they want this guy. So now he has to up, So I knew they didn't tell him. So I just sat there and stared at him like, I dare you to continue this audition and whatever bullshit you're going to hand me next. Because I thought he was punking me. That's what I thought. You got it. So I just sat there. And then he says, You don't believe me, do you? And I go, no, I don't. Just like that. And he goes, okay, I'll tell you what. Go home, sit by the phone, and see what happens. Now get out of here. And that was the end of the audition. And that's what he said. And that's what he did. And I got out of there and I'm cursing all the way home. That fucking guy just punked me out. And who the fuck? And I'm going to hand it to my agent, you know. Saying,
You're thinking it's all bullshit, right?
Yeah. I'm saying, you know, why did you do that to me? And why did you do that? They do that to you, you know. I mean, so I finally get home and I go, okay. And I opened the door and I sat there for 5 minutes. I did. I got it and I just sat down and I just stared at the fucking phone for about 5 minutes because I said, this is not going to happen. And it rings and it's my agent. My agent says, hey, congratulations, you got the job. Okay, now cut to, then there's a whole, I was on the movie for 3 months. It was a great experience. It's a whole other book in itself. Cut to the movie is coming out. Now, it was a big hit, obviously. Okay. But the movie is coming out. We don't know how it's going to do. So the night before or maybe a week before, it opens wide. It opens wide.
Premiere.
The premiere.
Mm-hmm. They
have a cast and crew screening. And this is a very formal thing, and it's done for everybody, for all movies. And they rent the theater, and it's really nice. It's not shabby. It's not shoddy. And they have just for the cast and crew and their guests, and they show the movie, you know, the final print. So I go in, and I'm very proud, and I've been through a great time and great things. So I'm all pumped. But it's Charley Butts. It's a small role. I mean, there's no getting around that. But it's a suitable role and a sustainable role. And it's a good role. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go in and I sit down. And now the movie starts. And I'm just sitting in this audience. And it goes, Escape from Alcatraz, starring Clint Eastwood, co-starring blah, 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 co-starring blah, 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 co-starring Larry Hankin. What? Co-starring role? Holy shit, man. But yeah. And the reason I think I got the co-starring role was because of my attitude in the movie. I was so blown away and awestruck that I even got in the movie, but that I was doing all my scenes with Clint Eastwood and other great actors, you know. Anyway, so that and that wasn't in the negotiation. I wasn't hired, you know, and as a co-starring role. You saw the audition. I gave it to you.
Yeah.
You saw that's not a co-starring audition by any means. But I think because of how I acted off camera on the set on Alcatraz, that's what I was there every day, dressed in my costume, which was very simple. Blue work shirt, jeans, white socks, black shoes. And I got up every day at 6:30 in the morning to catch the 7 or 8 o'clock boat to go to Alcatraz. Because
they shot it in the real prison.
We shot it in the real prison on an island in the middle of San Francisco Bay. And the boats left at 8 o'clock in the morning. Only one fleet of boats. They hired all the tourist boats for the morning 8 o'clock Alcatraz, you know, 200 extras and everybody out there. And then they went their tourist day. So they hired them for, I guess, 2 hours from say 7:30 until 9:30. And then they went about their business. And then they took everybody back at 8 o'clock at night. Again, 2 hours. So you couldn't, if you missed the boat, they had to hire a boat and get one boat to bring you out there, and then you had to wait until 8 o'clock to get on the boat to go back. So in other words, if you were,
Did you ever miss the boat?
well, if
You
you
ever
missed the
miss it?
boat, yeah, they're very angry, and you could get fired, because the one boat that they did have, they did have an extra in case somebody got sick or they needed a nurse or an ambulance or a CEO came from LA. That was the boat they used. So to use that boat cost them money. If it was for me, that's like an extra. That's like an extra charge. So it was very bad to miss the boat in the morning because they had to send a boat. But if you had a shoot at 10:30 in the morning, then you had to get the 8 o'clock boat, shoot at 10:30, and then wait the entire day on the island until 8 o'clock at night to go back. So it was a kind of a drag. And if you had to shoot at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you had to get the 8 o'clock in the morning boat and wait all day on the island to shoot at 5 o'clock and then get the 8 o'clock boat back. So there was that. But every day I would just get on that 8 o'clock boat in costume with all the other extras and everybody else. I'd go out there and I'd stand next to the camera, or I'd hang out either with Clint or next to the camera, because I just wanted to see how a major movie was really made, because I was sick of these freaking TV, walk-on talking roles. So I was there, and when I kind of got my fill of that, I would explore the island. I mean, and I think that's why I got co-starring role. I mean, there's no other reason. It's a small part. It's not a part that would be co-starring, but I think it was given to me by Clint and the director. So that was kind of cool. So that was my first big role.
How long was the whole experience from start to finish, with starting filming until they stopped filming? How long was that?
3 months, exactly 3 months, and I was there exactly 3 months on the island. I mean, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I was there the whole time, every day. I think we had one day off. Sunday was the day off. So obviously, but I had friends in San Francisco because that's where I came from the committee in San Francisco. I mean, we had lines around the block, so I had a lot of friends there. So I would hang out at at Vesuvio's, or the bars there, or wherever my old friends hung out. And I was kind of weird because I had to cut my hair for Escape from Alcatraz. I had a prison cut. And when I was in San Francisco, we were all hippies, so we had hair down to here.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird hanging out with friends. I always wore a hat that they would just grab it. Sell out. Well, they paid me a lot of money though for
Did
that.
it change the way people treated you? Did it change the way people treated you once that movie got out and they knew that you were in it?
I was given a little more leeway. I mean, first of all, I was auditioned for bigger parts. So the parts changed immediately. Not that much. I mean, I wasn't given starring roles, and I wasn't even given co-starring roles. But I was given speaking roles that carried plot lines and plot twists where they couldn't cut me out because it would cut out the storyline. I was given characters that carried storyline, and that's a different ballgame altogether. More money, bigger parts. So yeah, it did change it. But then it leveled out, and then I just got a thing today in the mail, just a thing where they wanted me to do a commercial for some sort of I don't know, digital company, and they wanted me to do a commercial, and I turned it down because they didn't want to give me any money for it. But what they said was they try to flatter me into doing it for cheap, saying you were a thing of the '60s. You're like a, I don't know what they call them. My brain is
like an
what?
icon of the
Some
60s.
icon or
Yeah,
something like that, or
like an icon of
something a model of the '60s. You were a big deal in the '60s. You were a well-known actor. That was the word they used, the word that meant you were a well-known actor of the '90s. So that's what Escape from Alcatraz, being in the movie and getting that co-star role, that title, that kind of brought me up to going up for those kind of level jobs until I finally became very well known in the '90s. That was my time. And then things, just started to get a little less, but I hung around there, just a little below there. And until finally I just got out about 10 years ago. I just.
So Billy Madison, you were in Billy Madison,
Billy Madison,
Friends,
Home Alone, Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. And then, what was the 3 for John Hughes? She's having a baby, Home Alone, and
running scared.
Planes, Trains, and
Automobiles.
Yeah. So that kind of kicked me up the hill, and then I remained there and just did that. And that's how I became well known for that level. And and the rest is history. I mean, but
how did you become friends with Adam Sandler, and how was it filming Billy Madison?
I never became friends with Adam Sandler. I mean, he and I are just, we don't work together very well. Maybe now he's learning. He was a kid when I was, an experienced actor, and he was just a control freak, and very underhanded. Not underhanded, manipulative. He's an incredibly manipulative person, and I sniffed that out. That was like my father and my family. They don't tell you what they're really doing or what they're really going for. Total opposite of like the director of Escape from Alcatraz, who just goes to where you're at and talks to you. He's very manipulative. I don't trust him at all. Adam. I respect his financial dealings in Hollywood, but he's far outfoxed by Hart. What's his first name? I don't know. Is his first name the stand-up comedian Hart?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
he's been outshone by Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is, but he used to be as powerful. Adam Sandler, about 10 years ago, maybe even now, maybe 5 years ago, he was as powerful as Kevin Hart is, but behind the scenes, but so manipulative. And he just jerked me around. I have nothing. I'm out of the business now. I have nothing good to say about Adam.
So what about Home Alone? When you filmed Home Alone, how was that?
Well, that was, I mean, you're working with great people. Home Alone. Robert's Blossom. I didn't work in Home Alone.
Pesci was in that, right?
And well, see, in Home Alone, I didn't work with anybody. I worked alone. I was a cop on the phone. I went in for a day.
Yeah.
There's a part in the book, in this book, that guy. This is about all the stuff that I talked about. I go into depth in here. It's pretty funny. and it's pretty interesting.